Good morning. If you're just joining us, this is Cheche, live on Citizen TV. Today's guest is Macharia Njeru, the chairman of the Independent Police Oversight Authority. And before the break, we were getting into complaints, really.
Yes.
How you handle complaints from the public and complaints from within the police service. Can you,
the police, let me address it in two ways. One, the police are already complaining to us. And actually, we've resolved a lot of complaints by the police.
But lots of police officers
are
texting in.
Yes, but you see, when police officers choose not to use the social media, the Facebook and the like, that's where they go wrong. Because there are institutions that have been set up under our legislation, and there's a reason why they were set up. So all you need to do, channel those complaints to that authority. If you don't deal with it, then you'll be able to have a cause, for complaint further. Now, like such a complaint, it should have been brought to us. And every time they address to us in writing, we even encourage them to call. And incidentally, we have a mechanism of even ensuring that there's confidentiality. And that is under the law.
So let's be clear. These police officers who are texting into Citizen at the moment should put their complaints in writing and send them to the
Independent Police Oversight Authority, and we'll be able to deal with them without doubt.
Right.
How about the public one? Let's just explain what the public needs to do.
The public also do the same thing. They sometimes call us. They do write. And I can tell you that for the short time that we've been in office, very many of them have come to us. As of last week, I know the complaints had reached about 300 plus. And substantially, we've continued to deal with them. No,
Macharia, let me just say this. 300 is below par. If you ask me, this country, people have lots of, daily, you can register 300 complaints from the police in this country. And secondly, how are people reaching you? Can't you put out a number, an emergency line or something?
No, it is there.
Get into problems.
It has been there.
When is this going out to the public so that they can actually participate
in sorting out? We put up the numbers in the public media. They were published, 7 lines, so to speak. They are being used. Even the time during the elections, we were using them for purpose of monitoring. We are receiving a lot of calls. We resolved a lot of issues. The reason why you find that, probably security, the complaints were not as much. It's not that we were addressing them together with the Office of the Inspector General, and things went fairly well. That's why I'm saying that it's not that things are not working. They may not be working the way we want, precisely because the institutions are still finding their feet. But these things are working. People are coming to us. Every single day we resolve issues. There are many issues that come to us by members of the public complaining against the police. We resolve them instantly. What I can say, and I must commend the Inspector General and the 2 deputies now. Since they came to the office, every complaint that we addressed to them, they've been able to deal with it instantly. And that has helped. I can't say the same of the previous commanders. But since the Inspector General and the Deputy came in place, we've sat down, we've been able to reach a mechanism. Because you see, we do not want a situation whereby all the time the Independent Police Oversight Authority and the commanders are fighting. We do not want that. We want to help the police to be able to work well. And they've been able to respond. They've come up with a very good system where they have their own internal affairs mechanism, where there's a group of people where when the complaints are brought to us, we're able to address with these people. They're able to make sure that they are looked into. They come up with a resolution. They report back to us, and we're working fairly well. So
is there a number?
How impactful are you is your organization? Because if you're impactful, policemen will be trembling when they're taking bribes. They'll be fearing because they know somebody is looking at them. But the same corruption goes on. The same place where there are roadblocks, there are certain places where there are roadblocks. And those blocks are there for nothing else but to get money to bring to police headquarters or to the PPO. And they're there. So, as far as I'm concerned, your impact is negative or not there at all.
I can tell you, Mr. Motegi, you see, for reforms to really work, we can't scratch the face. We must do it in a methodical manner. We must be able to institutionalize whatever it is that we are doing. Now, it is so easy for us to start coming up and saying that we are sending people, we are going to cause the arrest of police officers for the media to see and to make people happy, and the impact will be zero. It is much better when you institutionalize these things. That's what I was saying, that to avoid a scenario whereby things are not being done in line with the processes, you start with putting in the processes. You move in by putting in regulations. Then you move in by having competent staff who are also able to understand their work. So that, again, they don't misuse those powers. Because the Independent Police Oversight Authority has extensive powers. We do not want a situation whereby we bring staff on board, investigators and all that, and they start using those powers wrongly. And before we know it, we are back from where we started from. So you must ensure that you have also competent staff who have also been able to understand and who really know what they're supposed to be doing. Okay. More importantly, putting in a proper ICT infrastructure. And I can tell you that we are talking about an institution that has, has just come in office very recently. I'm confident that within no time we'll be able to start seeing that impact in a methodical manner.
Mr. Njeru, is there a number and an email address? Several of our viewers are asking for the public to send in their complaints to you.
Yeah. We have actually 7 numbers. Of course, I don't know them offhand, and an email address. I should be able to share it with you probably before I leave here. Okay. But they were there in the media. We put them in a Standard, we put them in a Nation.
Okay. And you probably need a public campaign, on television as well. But this viewer says, from what I'm hearing, IPOA will take a long time to be effective. Can the chairman assure the public that they're not going to continue enjoying public funds without tangible results? We need concrete examples of success.
That's an assurance you can give the public. Incidentally, we are a responsible organization, very responsible. I come from the corporate world. I do know the concerns of Kenyans. Even the little budget that we've had, we've been able to use it very efficiently. Kenyans will see our impact. I have absolutely no doubt, because at the end of the day, we're also taxpayers. We're also citizens. Before we're even IPOA, we are citizens ourselves. And we also want to see the impact of these reforms. So I have no doubt. Okay. I have absolutely no doubt.
Another viewer, please be honest. Whenever we complain, officers are victimized under the guise of indiscipline, and then they're transferred to operation area to shut them down.
Those are the kind of complaints that they should be able to bring to us. And the ones who have brought them to us, we've been able to deal with them. That's why I'm saying that I think it is how you channel the complaint. Don't keep it to yourself. Address it to us. We'll respect the issues of confidentiality, and we'll ensure justice is done. Because at the end of the day, like David said, we represent the public and also the police. And it behoves on us to make sure that we actually represent. We are not part of the police. We are civilian oversight.
What happens with the prisons authority? Because several people are asking about that.
No, we have no mandate on the prisons. Ours is just the National Police Service.
Okay.
Yeah.
You talked about regional
county police
authorities.
That's right.
What authority do they have over vis-a-vis the one of the Inspector General of Police? So, for instance, there is a roadblock somewhere, and the regional authority does not want it, but the police system, the line of police, because it's a revenue center, the revenue place, like those wind bridges, those are places which are national, which are in counties, but they are places for generating revenue for the police from the receiver there at the weight bridge, which goes all the way to the regional commander, maybe to the police headquarters. And the systems are there. As you can tell from that, the bogus policeman who was found in Nakuru, because he was just there to receive rent for the police. And everybody knew from police headquarters he existed, and he existed for years. So the system for corruption are there. What is the regional command? What can they do vis-a-vis the headquarters?
Firstly, their role is not operational, again, for the same reason that you do not want to interfere with the actual operations. But they're supposed to provide some oversight in terms of priorities of every region in line, on matters of policing. And once they identify those priorities and they are recorded and they are given to the county police commander, we're also supposed to sit together with them. That is now what is supposed to be used in measuring whatever the county police commander is doing. And obviously, if the county police commander does not now follow that line of priorities, they'll be able to raise it with the Independent Police Oversight Authority. They can raise it, of course, with the Inspector General. So it's documented. The whole idea is to make sure that we no longer have a system that is running without proper mechanism. Because the issues that all of you are raising is because there has not been appropriate mechanism before. But for the first time, police reform is being undertaken in a way that there has to be a mechanism, so that when you're holding somebody accountable, you have something specific that you can point out and say that you failed because you breached this particular provision, or you breached this particular policy, or you breached this particular understanding. And with that, when you're able to point out specifically and on the grounds on which you are raising issue with somebody, that can also be a ground for removal. In fact, if somebody now is not following priorities that have been set by the county policing authority, there has been a complaint to Independent Police Oversight Authority. We've investigated, we found that that is true. Then that provides now a mechanism from which you can use to remove that person.
Is the Oversight Authority, the county level, going to also take complaints from the public?
No.
We're going to use the national office, which is still very centralized.
No, they're not supposed to. Their role is not to take complaint, because now that's our role. What they will do is that once they pick those complaints, if they have complaints, for instance, against the police officers, they'll now be able to forward them to us. Then we can now be able to take it up. Their role is purely to ensure that the concerns of the public when it comes to matters of policing are addressed at that level. Because, David, remember, for instance, there was this incident in Mombasa at one time when women were complaining about drug trafficking in Mombasa. Now, they didn't have a mechanism of addressing that with the police commanders. What did they do? They went, demonstrated outside, and some of them were even removing their clothes as a protest. So to avoid that kind of scenario, what they would do is that the county policing authority, which is composed of people from that area, remember that a member of county policing authority in Mombasa cannot be somebody from Western, for instance, or from Central. It must be people from that area. They have a mechanism of telling the county police commander, this is what we want you to address.
Okay, so for instance, we know that we have more than 400 police stations across the country, and we also know that none of them apparently are up to standard. What you're saying is that the county policing authority will then, you know, with the involvement of the community that it's serving, be able to design police stations that serve the community? Is that what you're...
No, that's not their role. In fact, the police, incidentally, have already worked on a model police station, and also on our part, we have a role of inspecting police facilities, including police stations and all that. That is being addressed differently, and there's also a budgetary issue regarding that. I'm saying that, but they can raise an issue. Say, like when it comes to the issues of budget, because they can also put in this requirement for the input, where they feel that the sufficient resources are not being deployed. Of course, that's an issue that they can be able to raise. But whatever budgetary resources that are allocated to the county police commander, they have a say in it, in terms of how those resources are deployed as part of their priorities. That's why I was saying that when, say, for instance, the county X is given X amount of money, they should be able to sit to the county police commander and say that in terms of this little money that we've been given, we want you to address these key priorities, even as you are deploying the resources.
Okay, so do you have offices in Mombasa, Kisumu, and Nakuru?
No, not yet. You know, we even our own headquarters now that is being constructed.
Yes,
so
there's the controversial issue. In the current setup, the police are dealing with the provincial administration.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of controversy around the legitimacy of the provincial administration in the devolved government. Now there is going to be the governor.
Yeah.
We still have the anomaly of the provincial administration, county commissioners, and so on. How will the police, or in your setup, just explain how are they going to work, especially the governor, who is, you know, overall in charge of the county, but he has no command over the police, or in fact his advice, besides the oversight committee, could be ignored. How is that going to function?
The governor, we as Independent Policing Oversight Authority will not encourage the governors to be ignored. Because remember, these are people who have been elected by the people. Where we will not encourage and will not allow is the governors to be involved in the actual operations. But in terms of providing the overall guidance when it comes to matters of priorities, they must have a role to play. And that cannot be ignored. And I'm sure even the police themselves do understand that. In any event, that's precisely the reason why the governor is part of that county policing authority. Now, if a situation arises where they're being ignored, of course we'll step in and ensure that they are not ignored. Now, the thing is that we have to distinguish, like I said from the outset, between devolving policing services and decentralizing. Because national security is a national function. It is not a county government function, for very good reasons. Again, you do not want a governor to be involved in operations when he could start now. Sometimes some of these communities at the county level have disputes among themselves, and you do not want one governor to use that against another community. But insofar as addressing the key priorities and ensuring that they start monitoring of policing services, they must be involved. There is no doubt about that.
Which means there will be two senior people in that, the governor and the county commissioner in the county policing authority. Is the county commissioner also in that? And if he is, because there is normally, as we speak now, there is a conflict between the governor and the county commissioner.
Yes.
Well, I can only speak about policing matters. I cannot really speak about the other conflicts. All I can say is that an organization such as ours has to play a key role in ensuring that those conflicts are not there, by making sure that the respective roles of these persons are respected, that the county police commander is given operational independence because that is his or her mandate, and also the governor and the county policing authority are also given a role in terms of ensuring that the priorities of the people at the county level are addressed. That will make sure that it happens. So the county commissioner, they don't fall under us. We will not speak about them, but if it means them coming and making sure that they are frustrating the efforts of the governors will have a good advocate in us in making sure that they are protected.
We're running out of time. We're on extra time. Before we go, I just want to get your opinions, Mutegi and David, because several of our viewers are now comparing your performance as IPOA with the performance of the late Minister, John Mishuki, and finding you wanting. Mutegi, what do you think? Mutegi, what do you think?
As you said, they need time. It's a process, not an event. That whatever they're doing, the groundwork, I think is satisfactory. But I think they need more time. I think they have no impact in the system, because as we said and agreeing that they have not much impact. The corruption is there, the roadblocks are there, the way bridges are there, as you can see, people are being moved in and out because of revenue collection.
David?
Well, I think there is a lot of expectation from IPOA, especially, forget about the police complaints within the service and how the issues are being dealt with. The public interest in the functioning of the police force is really high. And as far as we have come, I don't think there is any trace of your effectiveness in addressing what are perceived to be public complaints or issues with the functioning of the police. So we will give you the benefit of the doubt for now, but I think within the next 6 months or after this election, stuff and so forth, when we have this behind us, I think the country is really expectant and they have to deliver. But just before, I think he cannot leave this show without addressing the matter of, he talked about institutions meddling into each other, these three institutions, the IG, the National Police Service and the IPOA. And the matter of your own opposition to the appointment of the two deputy and the CID director, where you seemed also to have been told off that you were meddling, that was none of your business, to oppose the appointment of those two officers. What was the issue, and isn't it you exceeding your authority as well?
Well, not really. That's what I'm saying, that we have an advantage of having been there longer, not as IPOA, but personally.
Having been involved
having
in the
been
reforms.
involved. So I can tell you, David, that I will be the last person not to understand what you're supposed to do. I fully understand. And I'm hoping that my colleagues, in the other institutions, should also be able to be up to speed when it comes to that. It is our role to address complaints. Remember, even the complaint that you are referring to was by a citizen. By a citizen. We don't manufacture complaints. We don't sit as IPOA and manufacture complaints. We address them. And for us, when complaints are brought to us, whether it's against the high and mighty, we'll address them and give appropriate recommendations. If other institutions say, like the executive, don't act on them, that's a different issue. But we'll do our bit. If you, as David, comes today and complains even against the Inspector General, we will not say that we will not make an appropriate recommendation against the Inspector General because maybe you are a small man and the IG is. That in itself should tell you that we are serious. Regardless of who it is, their status, for us it really doesn't matter. It is the justice in the issue that really matters. Of course, a lot of times we'll give appropriate recommendation, and with the current dispensation, there are people who will not accept that there is change in the country, and that when an institution has taken an appropriate decision, it has to be respected. It is not a problem just with us. You've seen it even with other institutions.
Your objections were overruled.
Well, by another, you see, we can't play the role of the Prime Minister and the President. At the end of the day, if you give a recommendation to the president and the prime minister, I mean, if they don't take it up and give respect to that, and that you've seen, not just with the issue of policing, also in other areas. I mean, it's a common problem that has been in this country. What we can hope is that...
Why did you not resign?
Sorry, no. See, one thing about Mutegi, we have a role to help in changing this country. You can see the problems that are there in the policing. If we start every single time that we have an issue, we are busy now resigning, we'll actually be taking the country back. We have to dig in and make sure that we all fight the battle to make sure that this country changes. It will be highly irresponsible for us, even as IPOA, just because of one situation, that we decide. And we are not people who give up. I can give you confidence that there will be reforms in this country in policing, and there will be change. We believe in it, and we are not the kind of people who give up. We'll make sure that indeed it happens, and it will happen.
And so that works as a final thought from you.
What about your term of service? That's when?
We are supposed to be in office for 6 years, so we have sufficient time. But Kenyans will not give us 6 years. You've already seen David has said that within 6 months. and I'm confident we'll be able to deliver. I have no doubt about that.
Okay, thank you very much. That's your final thought. And that's where Cheche ends this week. Macharia Njeru, Chairman of the Independent Police Oversight Authority, we appreciate your time on Cheche this morning. Our thanks also to panelists, Mutegi Njeru and David Makali. I'm Udwa Kamimo. Enjoy the rest of your week and happy Easter.
Thank you.